Good morning, good day, good evening, whatever it might be for you. My name is Nick Lake from the Adler Planetarium in Chicago, US. I'm here with Naomi and Angela, and we're going to be talking about our various experiences in hiring show presenters at our facilities, what skills we look for, what sort of background we prefer to seek out, and also how we use training and development to really overcome any skills gaps that there might be in not only our presenters, but also our teams as a whole. So it's really going to be a panel discussion. We don't have slides or anything. So we'll be chatting back and forth. I'll be leading with some questions, and then we'll kind of see where the discussion goes. If any of you have questions or particularly insights that you want to share, we'll try and leave some time for that at the end. But of course, you can put them in the chat as well. We're particularly interested when we first thought of this panel. Of course, that was pre-COVID, but in the time of COVID, we're looking for, from a staffing perspective, how things have changed at your institutions, specifically from that staffing perspective, and also maybe ways that this sort of metaphorical curse of the pandemic might in some ways have a silver lining. Maybe there were experiences that you were able to develop that wouldn't otherwise have happened, maybe some skills that have been developed on your teams to make that happen. So I want to let Naomi and Angela introduce themselves, and then we'll begin. So Naomi, let's start with you.
So good morning, everyone from Denver, Colorado. My name is Naomi Pequette. I'm an Earth and Space Science Program Specialist at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. So I work with staff for live programming, anything relating to space sciences, but primarily in our Space Science Gallery and our planetarium, along with dinosaurs, because why not? It's super fun. My background is in astrophysics, but I work with a lot of actors, as we'll talk more later.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Angela from Colombia, and I have a master in astronomy and bachelor's degree in early childhood education. But all about, I'm an astronomy outreach passionate who loves working with people from all ages, but mainly with kids. I love to work with kids. I'm currently the coordinator of the planetarium in Medellin, Colombia, South America, which is managed by Parque Explora. We have been closed for the past 4 months and we have continued producing a program that has existed for 35 years called the Sky Tonight, and which is now being transmitted through YouTube and Facebook Live. I'm part of the team who chooses the planetary staff. Most of them are astronomers. So with the Theater of Parque Explora, we often do some training sessions to enrich our communication skills. Thank you.
Excellent. And yeah, as I said, I'm at Adler Planetarium in Chicago. I'm the manager of theater experience and presentation. I've actually been at Adler for 16 years. We are currently closed to the public, but in normal times, I manage our team of part-time show presenters. I myself started out as a part-time show presenter long ago, and now oversee the hiring, training, and development of that team. Prior to COVID, we had a team of 14. That team has been laid off, but as reopening becomes clearer, we'll see what we can do to get us back up to full speed. So Angela, I want to start with you. Can you describe your presentation team, also your lineup of shows, and kind of how those two work together, how the team informs what shows and presentations you can do?
Yeah, thank you. We are just currently, we are like 10 people, but the core group is just for 4 people, 3 astronomers and me. And the other ones are guides that we call mediator, and they are students from different areas. So zoologists, biologists, social managers, and also astronomers. So in order to be ready for the live shows, we often trained with our master in acting, that is David Ocampo from Parque Explora Theater. He helped us to practice corporal expression, voice exercises, and always we write our own scripts for live shows. Something that really helped us is the fact that we always are doing activities from outreach. So we have contact with people's questions, desires about astronomy, and sometimes we are closer to the misunderstandings that the people have. We have, I think that help us too much is the Explora School. That is especially to teach us or teach the guidance, for example, astronomy, or for us, corporate expression skills.
Interesting. Naomi, same question to you, the makeup of your team and how that fits the shows you do.
So we have a team of about 30 educator performers. These are part-time staff that work in all of our galleries. So there's 3 different galleries plus our planetarium. They're also responsible for teaching all of our field trip adventures on-site, off-site, virtually, and supporting after-hours events. These folks we hire for kind of 2 different skill sets, the classroom teachers and our actors, but both of them we really hire for performance skills. Our philosophy has been to hire folks who have great presentation skills and are science curious, that we can teach them the content that they need, whether it be space science in my case, or health or earth science, or any of the topics that we're talking about. So we found as long as there's an interest in science or maybe even science fiction, that's a great gateway. We can provide them with the content from our program specialists and our amazing curators and get them presenting out to the public.
That's very cool. Yeah, at Adler, we also have quite a few people with theater experience, a lot of improv trained actors, along with some more astronomy based, or at least, space enthusiastic individuals. So we have 2 domed theaters at Adler, 1 flat screen theater as well. So we've got anywhere between a dozen and 2 dozen shows that are happening per day. For kind of from the actor perspective, show that I know you're aware of, Destination Solar System, Naomi. That includes a live presenter that is in character and interacting with a pre-recorded robotic or computer voice on the dome. So the majority of the improv actors we had hired specifically for that. And as they stuck around, we kind of found they were a great resource. They were able to bring some new energy to some of the shows, and especially as they started to get into getting cross-trained for, say, a standard planetarium show, they really brought some new stuff to it. They were able to kind of get the science under their belt and really fly with it. It was pretty exciting. Naomi, when you look for applicants in hiring, and specifically for those actors, what talent pool are you drawing off of? Where are you finding these people to hire them?
So we ended up with an amazing network into the theater community here in Denver from the actors that we've had on staff for decades, and they refer people to the museum constantly, which has been great. We use that network. Also, MTAL, the Museum Theater Alliance, has been a great resource for us as well. But really, it is that networking and that factor of people coming in saying, oh, that's really cool, I want to do that. And we're like, we have a job posting, apply. And we've gotten some great folks that way as well.
That's perfect. Yeah, sort of everyone knows each other in those smaller acting communities, which is great. That definitely helps. Yeah, I know with our, especially our auditioning experience, we try and have people read a section of the show, maybe prepare it ahead of time, actually. And that kind of helps see the actors that they think, oh, maybe space is cool, but aren't really willing to maybe learn a little bit about, say, the circumpolar constellations or how to pronounce their particular nebula or star name beforehand. So that kind of helps you see what they're willing to bring to it. So that's great. Angela, coming from the other side, you had mentioned your team consists of not only astronomers, but a lot of other people with scientific backgrounds. So what do you look for in those applicants? What are you looking for as far as skill sets? And also, how do you make sure their presentation skills are up to par?
In Parque Explora, we think that it may be easier to teach scientists how to be a good presenter, although we also try to incorporate astronomers that were once amateur astronomers because they are used to telling nice stories about science they love. So also we often look at professionals in astronomy because they have programming skills very specific. So it's easier for them to do that shows, for instance, they make the following sequence with the shows, and also because they're very accurate with the astronomy content. That's why we have, for instance, Digital Sky, because they really need programming skills. In other cases, we decided to have astronomers with teacher training experience, and that's because in Colombia we have the first career with astronomy. So we have here astronomers that love teaching and also astronomers that loves outreach. So we have that kind of mix that is very interesting. And also we have that kind of things because in Explora Park, we have something that called Explora School. So we have dozens of professionals in different areas because with that Explora School, we do some special mediation training, taking into account some details that for Park Explorer are very important, like communication depending on the context and the public, using different formats and engaging languages. And the language must be simple, clear, and certain. So we're doing that during the last 10 years, and it's been working very nice, very well.
Excellent. And Naomi, we've heard sort of how Angela is able to make sure those with scientific or astronomy background, their presentation skills are up to par. How do you train actors, people that are ready to get out on stage but may not have the knowledge base behind them to speak fluently about it? How do you train them, and what assets are you able to bring to it?
Much like you, we start them with scripted shows that have a lot of juicy content built into them, like Destination Solar System and our shows in our Space Odyssey exhibition. That'll give them nuggets of content to learn where they're just still saying a script. So there is a comfort factor to that, but then providing them with a lot of resources around it. Like Crash Course Astronomy, kids' books are great resources actually to start learning astronomy as well. And then we work them up. Kachun and I developed a lot of great fact sheets for Space Tours Live, which is kind of the graduate level of shows for astronomy where you need to know the most content. And then again, a long list of resources. And they have been so curious, looking up their own resources and having conversations and sharing knowledge with each other, coming back to me with questions or with their colleagues. So it really has been a great organic process of them following their curiosity.
That's great. Yeah, it's an excellent trait for anyone to have, but especially presenters. How do you ever have to deal with sort of an imposter syndrome for your presenters, people that don't have a science background and then are being, asked what their degree is in, or getting asked really difficult questions from the audience? How do you navigate that?
We do have that a lot. Actually, one of our performers who started, we hired specifically for Destination Solar System, admitted he couldn't have named all the planets, let alone in order, when we hired him. And so one of the things that we teach is the power of saying, I don't know, and saying, I'm learning too. I'm curious. I'm there with you. And really partnering with our space science exhibition, which is right next door to the planetarium, and using our infrastructure that we have in place with our volunteers with iPads and laptops and access to the internet to say, let's find out together. Let's go explore after.
Yeah, we do the same. We do the same because there are many people that ask very deep questions. And luckily we have astronomers very near to the guiders, but always we said the same, let's find together.
Absolutely. That's great. I want to pivot slightly to kind of the COVID question, asking both of you, how have your teams adapted? And also, what changes do you see maybe carrying forward? What things have you learned about your teams or your institutions that you're able to better interact with the public? Angela, let's start with you.
Well, Planetarium Medellin found in COVID like an opportunity to reopen the programming that we have some of them online, but with the COVID, we have to turn to the online content because it was the only way. So we realized the audience enjoyed this effort initially with the special program I told you before, the Sky Tonight. And then we started to gather in other formats such as tourists for the Cosmos, Not to Sleep, that is a special format for Instagram, and a couple of navigation by the Cosmos with music. We think many activities are able to transform into online content, but we have to also think in the people here in Colombia. There are many people that had not connection with internet. So we are migrating some of the contents, the programming to radio and TV. So we are just looking at other ways to bring the astronomy to all.
Wonderful. And Naomi, how about you?
So we are very fortunate that we actually have reopened, although we are not opening with live programming either in our galleries or in our planetarium because of some restrictions in Colorado about presenter distancing. So when we first closed, we told our pool of part-time staff, what do you have around the house? What are you curious about? What experiments can you do that our guests could do along with you? And it produced some pretty raw footage, but it was really valuable in rapid prototyping of learning what our guests were responding to, what they liked doing at home. That got a little bit more formalized as we got further into closure. We did manage to turn a couple planetarium shows that we do for after hours, both family versions and the 21+ version with the unedited constellation stories into some online programming as well, which went over really well. We were surprised that banter that works so well in person converted online. And now we're transitioning to figuring out what we're going to do in our brand new space science exhibit that opens in November. Our live programming certainly won't look like what I've been working on developing for the last 2 years, but I've got a crack team of 5 of my most veteran performers that are going to be working very closely with me to rapidly adapt it as we get new restrictions and learn what's working with our guests and in our very limited space.
It's fantastic. Yeah, that's where the flexibility and just the willingness to take a risk is really invaluable in a team. That's fantastic. So we have a couple minutes left. I do want to open it up. There's been a healthy amount of chat going on, but I don't know if we have any particular questions in there or if anybody wants to chime in by voice.
Thanks for that insights. There was one question asked by Emily Pevy. I hope I pronounced it correctly. She asked, how do you feel the science background presenters work when scaled up with a larger organization?
Angela, do you want to maybe field that a little bit? How you might see that happening at a larger organization?
Yeah.
Main
The
presentation.
thing is that we don't have presenters. Yes, we have the actor that teach us to all the fields, scientists and professionals, how to be a presenter. The thing is that we have to find our inner presenter because we are not presenters as professionals, but we enjoy that because they help us how to speak to the public and the audiences and how to play with the tones. So the thing is that he has to do many trainings because we are too much. Luckily, we are still too much.
And I will say we do have some folks in our presenter pool that do have science backgrounds. That conversation between colleagues can be really valuable if you have one person, even if they're not formally a presenter trained or formally science trained, but carry a lot of knowledge in that area. They will learn from each other, watching each other's shows, having conversations over lunch in the break room. And that's been something that I've loved watching.
Yeah, I would say.
Laura, we sometimes invited, for instance, Santaolalla to see how he makes, because he discovered his presenter in inner. So we try to copy some examples in the work to see if it's working.
Yeah, that's terrific. Yeah, I find that as actors maybe watch people that have a lot of science background do a show, and that as those that are maybe astronomers are watching the actors kind of do their thing, they really do learn from each other. And in that case, stealing from each other, it's a great compliment. You kind of steal what works, and it kind of lifts all boats in that case, which is great. So I think we're at time. So thank you everyone very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks again. This is an absolutely relevant topic, of course. And if there should be anyone among us who has never been to a conference, who doesn't even know what to do in a planetarium, just watching the first 2 sessions already teaches a lot. I think this is really great what you're doing. We actually have 5 minutes left until the next presentation, which is going to be a sponsor hour, so to speak, or sponsor 50 minutes by ENS, who is sponsoring this morning during the conference. So there are 5 more minutes, but thank you, Michael, for bringing up that one. So that should be the introduction to the next session. If there are no more questions, no more discussion, then we could just make have a brief 5-minute break if you need, and then be back in 5 minutes. But if there should be any questions, please post them in the chat and I can read them out and we can answer them.
I do see one question from Jenny asking about how our audiences respond to folks that aren't quote unquote experts, and how do we check that content? And that is something that we work really hard on, providing them with a basis of fast fact sheets, which are quick to memorize and are vetted by our curatorial staff, by Kachun in particular, and then providing them with resources that we know are reliable. And then we do sign-offs that they have to know a basic set of facts. It does happen occasionally. We all say things that aren't quite correct, unfortunately, but we have cultivated an environment, I think, that they feel very comfortable coming back to us with content questions. And our audiences respond really well because they do a great job creating a sense of awe and wonder in the dome. And we do have opportunities, of course, to talk with the space scientists with other programs as well. So it is an interesting balance for sure.
Yeah, I think that having a sort of an open door for questions like that is huge. And I love it when an operator will come to me with a question that I don't know the answer to, and I've got to say, oh gosh, let's find that out now. We don't have the guest with us at that time, but yeah, it's a wonderful experience to learn with them, and not to be sort of the holder of knowledge, to really just be learning with them and alongside them.